Hours,
Yes,
is that
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
On May 1st, 2025, 18-year-old Ryan Hinton was fatally shot by Cincinnati police officers in East Price Hill. Now, authorities reported that Ryan, along with 3 others, had been inside a stolen vehicle.
As I explained to you what Chief Thigi broke down for us today. So she said this all started with a stolen Kia out of Edgewood, Kentucky, that was spotted at the complex on Warsaw Avenue. When officers arrived, they saw 4 suspects take off running. Thigi said officers took different suspects to follow. One suspect was armed with a gun, and at one point, with officers saying he did hit the ground and that gun hit the ground.
I think it's confusing to show a firearm that's recovered from the vehicle and not from the actual scene, the one that was allegedly being pointed at the officers that caused the officers to have to unalive the young man.
The ground. That person then ran between the dumpsters, and officers yelled out that that person had a gun. Another officer who was chasing another person at the time came in contact with that armed suspect, and that's when that officer fired off 4 to 5 shots. That man was hit twice.
Unfortunately, this is a potential outcome when you interact with police and you are armed with a weapon, whether it's an edged weapon, a firearm, or if you fail to comply, you're armed and you fail to comply with what an officer says. This is where we end up. And it is unfortunate, it is preventable, and no officer wants to go through this. I don't want families to go through this. But at the end of the day, we have to provide the safest city that we can provide.
Now, Thigi did go on to say that during an interview, the officer said that the suspect pointed a gun at him. He did feel threatened, and he did feel threatened for his life. Now,
yeah, they show on Fox 7. Okay, when they all jumped out the car, sure, the police did come. Now, but they running this first when they say drop the gun, you can hear the gun drop. You can hear it. You know how a gun hit the. If he dropped that gun in the grass, you would not be able to hear it. He dropped that gun right there on the parking lot, man.
And they said it. They said he dropped the gun.
I'm telling you what they did, bro. I said he dropped the gun. So I guess he not trying to be drunk. So when he dropped the gun, he continued to proceed by the trash can. He leaned up on the trash can. What no point, no hand, what no raising of the hand, raising of the arm where the officer can think he got a gun. Nah, he just killed that young man for no reason at all. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. So I'm telling you, the body cam they putting out, they only putting moments of it. They not putting the whole thing out. If they put the whole thing out, you'll see that he dropped the gun. It ain't, they trying to make it seem like he dropped the gun so they hear it and then he pick it back up and ran behind the trash can.
There's body cam footage that shows some of the pursuit. Now, the body cam footage revealed Ryan allegedly, we got to say allegedly, pointed a handgun at officers before he was shot. A weapon was later found at the scene, though it had not been discharged. So this is where the controversy comes in, because eyewitnesses are saying that Ryan dropped the handgun, that he never pointed the handgun at any officers. But the officer simply, out of fear, the officer shot Ryan. Okay, this story gets deep. So they release body cam footage. You do hear the sound of a metal object dropping. Okay, they're saying, oh, Ryan somehow slipped. You hear the gun drop, but he got up and continued to run. Then he pointed the gun. Now, I want to say this. In our culture, it is clear. You don't point guns at cops unless you're on a mission. If you're running from the cops, that means you're trying to get away. That means you're trying to preserve your life. You're not going to point a gun at multiple cops or at one cop knowing you're being chased by multiple cops, because that's basically a mission. It just doesn't add up. Now, this is where the story gets deep. The following day, Ryan Hilton Jr.'s father, Ryan's father, was shown the body cam footage of his son's death. He was distressed. He was emotional. He left the room before the video even concluded. So now we have to go to today. Later that day, While directing traffic near the University of Cincinnati during a graduation event, a sheriff deputy who was not related to the group that pursued his son. This is just an innocent sheriff deputy who's directing traffic at a graduation event. He was struck and killed by a vehicle. Guess whose vehicle this was? Ryan's father. Okay, authorities identified Rodney Hinton Jr. as the driver. The deputy, a retired officer working a special assignment, was remembered as a dedicated and well-liked member of the force. So I want you just to look at how Rodney Hinton is walking out of court with his head up, and he's kind of sizing up all of the officers that is lined up pretty much to intimidate him. A lot of people are rallying behind Rodney Hinton as if he is some type of hero, as if, this is what every Black American, this is what they would have loved to do whenever there's an injustice that's done to their family. But the majority of Black Americans, being very forgiving, being very loving people, we just kind of allow the judicial system to handle it. Now, what I do not like, I hate the fact that an innocent officer had to lose his life, because what if that officer was truly a righteous person? What if that officer was one of the good officers, the good cops, and his life was taken because of the actions of his colleagues, the other officers, the bad officers, the bad cops who are, shooting first and asking questions later. That's the only thing that does not sit right with my spirit, to where I feel like if a bad cop does something bad, that the bad cop should be the one who, has to suffer the consequences of those actions legally, of course, and, within reason. I just don't agree with this. Any cop should be able to get it because a bad cop did something bad to my loved one. I don't agree with that philosophy, but to each his own. Social media has really been taking this story as, and championing behind Rodney and the family. And there's misinformation out there stating like this is the same officer who was involved in shooting his son. And, he ran over the officer a day after the officer shot his son. Is not the same officer. From all of my research, two complete different officers. What is your thoughts? I think the state of America, we got Trump in office, but it has emboldened so much just racism and so much just evil and bad behavior. I think it's disgusting. But I want to know, do you think he's going to get the death penalty? Trump pretty much in one of his speeches said he wants to enact a law that anybody who unalives a cop should get the death penalty.
I've already signed an executive order requiring a mandatory death penalty for anyone who is a police officer. And tonight I'm asking Congress to pass that policy into permanent law.
Do you think this man is going to get the death penalty? Do you think they're going to execute him? This is just a bizarre story. It's unfortunate for the families. I want to hear, what is your take on it? They have not shown any body cam footage of him pointing a gun. This is Rodney Hinton's son now, Ryan Hinton. They haven't shown any footage of him pointing a gun at that cop. But we all know when you're in a high pursuit chase on foot and people are yelling gun and you're going to shoot first and ask questions later. And as a Black man, we know this. When you run from the cops, especially when there's any type of suspicion of a firearm being involved, that's almost a death sentence. As a Black man in America, we know you're running from a cop, there's any type of gun involved. If you make it out alive, be very, very thankful and be blessed, because we know cops are scared. We've seen situations where cops have shot at a suspect simply because of an acorn falling from a tree.
We hold our officers to a very high standard of service. And this particular time, we let the public down.
Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Aden in this video posted to social media speaking on the incident of November 12, 2023. While on a call with a suspect in the back seat, then Okaloosa County Deputy Jesse Hernandez reportedly claimed it was this noise that he thought was the detained suspect shooting at him.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Hernandez and Okaloosa County Sheriff's Sergeant Beth Roberts, who was on the scene, both shot into the patrol car. The detained person in the back seat was reportedly not physically injured. Officials say he was fully searched before he was put into the patrol car and after the incident, but he was found to be unarmed. The noise was reported to be an acorn. Hernandez resigned just weeks later.
There's stories of a cop so scary a cop shooting at her own shadow. Scary at a cop shooting at her own shadow. So cops, a lot of cops are scary. We have to put this on the front. Cops can be very scary. You've seen the stories. With that being said, I just pray that the judicial system handles him well. That judge was on point. Like, are we going to be able to ensure his safety? The judge, I like that. The judge said, are we going to make sure he gets back here on Tuesday safe? Basically, all y'all cops lined up, and I know y'all are hurt that one of your own is now one of the fallen soldiers now. But we need to make sure that y'all don't take actions in your own hand and try to do something to him while he's locked up and incarcerated. And that's what that judge was.
Where will the defendant be housed, and will he be safe? And I ask that because he was transferred, as I understand it, to Clermont County yesterday.
That's correct.
On my order.
That's correct.
And will he be returned to Clermont County until Tuesday?
It's our understanding he'll be returned to Clermont
And
County.
you have a safe environment for him there in Clermont County?
Yes, sir.
You'll return him on Tuesday, May the 6th at 8:30 a.m. for a hearing at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Hey, this is King Messiah at it again. I want y'all to continue to support. Peace.